grade 3s. Guess what? I'm in the classroom today. I'm cleaning up for summer because it's June and we're not going to be coming back into the classroom this year, so we're getting it ready for the next year. Today, we are going to focus on answering some of the questions that you asked me about plants. So a couple weeks ago, I had said, if you have any questions about plants, write them down and send them to me so that I can answer them for you. And you've sent me quite a few that I'm going to try to answer today. I hope this helps you learn more about plants, and thank you so much for sending me such interesting questions. Some of you had similar questions, so if you didn't hear it said exactly like yours, it's because lots of people asked me, and I just picked the one that was the easiest to read and the easiest to understand. While I'm doing this, make sure that you have your what did I already know about plants, what did I learn about plants, and what do I want to learn about plants chart out. If you have that chart out, it will help you because these are going to be new things that you've learned about plants, and you can put them in the I learned column because it's new information. So, our first question says, why are some plants poisonous? That's really interesting because there are poisonous plants out there, and I know that you know not to eat them, but they're poisonous because those plants don't want to be eaten. They have something inside them that makes it upset for your tummy. Some of them can even make you sick, and that plant makes that chemical or makes it bad for your tummy so that you won't want to eat it so that it can grow and live happily for its life. It does not want anything to eat it. Some plants want animals to eat them so that it spreads the seeds around. But some plants don't want animals to eat them because their seeds move in different ways. So if plants are poisonous, it's because that plant does not want animals to eat it. It wants to live. Why can't we eat all plants? That relates back to the question I just answered. Some plants are poisonous. We can't eat them because they have poison in them and it's bad for us. Sometimes other animals are okay with it. Maybe it doesn't taste good, but it doesn't hurt them. But still, if plants don't taste good, we're not going to eat them. So some plants are poisonous and some plants just don't taste good, so we don't eat them. Next one. Is a cactus a plant? Yes, a cactus is a plant. Thanks for asking. A cactus is a plant because it gets its nutrients from the soil, it has roots into the ground, it uses the sun for sunlight. And what's really interesting about cactuses is, or cacti as some people say, that means more than one cactus, is that cactuses or cacti don't need much water. They usually live in the desert where there's not a lot of water. So some plants need more water and some plants need less. And a cactus does not need much water. It's lucky. Because it lives in the desert, it doesn't rain there very much. Next one. Why do some plants live in the water? This is kind of like the cactus question. Some plants, like a cactus, don't need much water. And some plants, like seaweed or seagrass, or even some trees that live really close or in the water, they love water and they need extra. So like some plants need more water, some plants need less, some plants need more sun, some plants need less. They're just different types. So some plants live in the water, just like some animals live in the water. Why do fish live in the water? Because that's where they live and that's where they need to be able to breathe. Why do plants live in the water? Because that's where they need to be able to live. That's the way they grew. Ooh, next one. Why are tomatoes called fruits and not vegetables? You might have heard this. People say, do you want to know an interesting fact? A tomato is a fruit. You might have heard that before. Or if you didn't, that might be new to you. A tomato is a fruit because if you have a tomato and you cut it open, you can see the seeds inside. Anything with seeds inside of it is called a fruit. So even cucumber, if you cut open a cucumber, does it have seeds inside? Yes. That means it's actually the fruit of a plant. If you cut open an apple, there's seeds inside, it's a fruit. You cut open a watermelon, there's seeds inside, it's a fruit. Even if I cut open a pepper and I open it, that is technically a fruit because it has seeds inside. What kinds of things don't have seeds inside? If I cut open a carrot, does it have seeds inside? No, so it's a vegetable. If I cut open celery, are there seeds inside? No, it's a vegetable. If I cut open lettuce, are there seeds inside? No, it's a vegetable. So if there are seeds in the fruit, or inside of it, it's a fruit. If there are no seeds inside of it, it's a vegetable. That's just, it means, it tells you how to use the words. So even though we don't eat a tomato like a fruit, you're not going to put it in your fruit salad, you're not going to eat a tomato and apple salad. It still is called a fruit, even though we eat them sometimes like vegetables. Your next one. Why do some plants have thorns? This is interesting. This is like the poison question. Why are some plants poisonous? To protect themselves so nobody eats them. Why do some plants have thorns? To protect themselves so nobody eats them. If I'm a deer in the forest again, am I going to want to bite onto a plant with thorns on it? Ow, no, I'm not. So that makes sure that the plant doesn't get eaten because it wants to live. Some plants are okay if animals eat little bits of it because they're so big and there's so much of it. But some plants don't grow as many sprouts or as many leaves or branches. So the little plant needs to protect itself. If I eat a bunch of it, it's going to die. Some plants are okay with that, but the ones that aren't, some of them have thorns, so that if I try and eat it, ow, ooh, it's pointy. It stops animals from eating it. That's what thorns do. Next one. Why can some plants live indoors? That's because where that plant is from, it is warm most of the day and most of the year. There are plants that cannot live indoors, and that's because they need it to be a little bit colder or they need the special temperature. But any plant that can live indoors means that it's from a place that's warm most of the time. Or you have to take very good care of it and maybe give it a different temperature. But some plants, if they're really good at living inside, it means that they're from a place that's warm all day, all night. It's in a warm area. Winnipeg is not warm all year. You know that, it snows here. So a plant that lives indoors in Winnipeg cannot live outdoors in Winnipeg because it is too cold in the winter. So an indoor plant needs to be warm all year, all season, because it's usually from, oh look, I have a globe, from the equator. Do you remember that it's warm all year round around the equator? That's the hot area of the Earth. Plants that live indoors are usually from around the equator because it's warm all year. Next one. How do seeds grow? So I hope I answered this a little bit with my plant videos when we were planting seeds. But basically, if this is a seed, once the seed gets watered, it notices that there's water. It kind of has like senses, like it kind of feels out that there's water. Once there's enough water for it that it thinks it can grow, it will kind of crack open and a sprout will come out. So the seed just waits for water. Once it notices that there's enough water to grow, it will kind of crack open and a little sprout will come out. That sprout will then grow up, out of the soil and become a little plant, like I had in my videos. The next one is kind of the same. Why do you need to water seeds? Why do we need to water seeds? So that the seed notices there's water and cracks open. It needs to open up. If the seed stays closed, it keeps all the plant information inside, and it can stay closed for quite some time. That's why you can go buy seeds at the grocery store or at the plant store, and you don't need to plant them right away because a seed will stay shut until it notices there's enough water. So why do you need to water a seed? To make it crack open and to make it grow. We only have two left. Next one. How long does it take for a plant to grow? Well, this question, it can be different for any plant you pick. I have grown radishes and green onions that only take less than a month to grow, less than 30 days, and you can eat them. But there are some plants like trees that can grow for years and years and years and still always get bigger. So this depends on what plant you're talking about. Some plants can grow in a week or two. Some plants take years and years. So if you have a specific plant you're wondering about, you can send that question to me, but it really depends on the plant. I can try and figure it out for you though, if you let me know what plant you're interested in. And the last question, how do you make plants grow better? This is also, it depends on the plant. Each plant knows or needs different things. So how do you make a plant grow better? By knowing what it needs. Do you remember how I was growing my seeds and some of them died? I didn't take good enough care of them. It's because I didn't know enough about what that seed needed. I planted a whole bunch of different seeds, and some grew and some didn't. So maybe some of them needed more water than I was giving them. Maybe some of them needed less water than I was giving them. But to make the plant grow the best, you have to do research and find out how much water it needs. Should it be in the sunlight or in the shade? Should it be indoors or outdoors? We talked about indoor plants need it to be really warm the whole year. So you can't put those outside. If you put those outside, it's not going to grow very good. So you need to do research on what kind of plant you want to grow. Something that's pretty good is that the garden stores and the stores around here sell seeds that are good for this temperature, for Winnipeg. So if you go to the store and you buy seeds, they're usually good to plant outside as long as you plant them in summer. If you go down to the equator and you go to a store there and buy seeds and you bring them back, they might not grow because they have a different temperature or a different climate than us. That means a different temperature for the year. It's warm there the whole time. So different seeds can grow here than where we live. So how to make a plant grow better? You have to do research on that plant and find out what does it need. Well, I hope that answered some of your questions. If you have more, you can still ask them to me. I probably won't make another video answering them, but I can answer yours in an email. And your task today is to look at your chart, what I did know about plants, what I learned about plants, and what I want to learn about plants. And you should be focusing on the I learned section. Pick about 4 or 5 things you learned from this video and write them in so that you know what you learned about plants. Well, it was really neat to be back in the class. I was excited to be able to make a video here for you, and I'll see you next time.